what to teach or do, I will be happy to do my best to address integration options for that area. This one may not have as much integration ideas as much as a tool review of the newness that happened over the summer, but it can't hurt. Thank you, guys. Jen, Jody, Miss Benedict. Alicia, have you ever used Wixie before? Interesting, Tracy. I mean, the stuff with the videos, the audios, the infomercials, the public service announcement opportunities. Fantastic, Alicia. Yeah, I think, if you haven't looked lately, we have added some more templates into the music folder. Might work really well if you guys are planning to do virtual days, after X number of snow days. So you can revisit those routes. And Corey, my comments about high school cosmetology actually could easily apply to phys ed. I think the opportunity to do it, audio recordings or videos of news broadcasts, sports broadcasts, obviously maybe a serious review of the rules or tips and tricks to being successful at a sport. All great opportunity to do different things. And again, I don't want to take away from your regular instruction, especially phys ed where the activities or actions are so important, the movement from the kids. But again, those bad weather days, snow days, you name it, have some opportunity to do different things there. And Katie, I used to teach middle school, so you're in great shape. And I'm going to wait one more minute, and then we'll start. And I guess at the same time, if there was something that you were particularly interested in learning about today, if it's not in the agenda, or if I don't cover it, I'll be sure to cover it type deal. So if you do have I was really hoping to learn about, other than the new stuff in Wixie, of course. And of course, Debbie Ray's here. She's the one posting the links for the closed caption. And I'm sure she'll jump in from time to time to the chat as well. And for those of you who just joined me, or joined us, if you want to let me know what you teach, I'm working 2 monitors, which is why I'm looking off to the side. If you want to let me know what you teach in the chat box, I'll be sure to do my best to include things that'll apply. Elementary, Samantha? Or middle school or high school? Lisa, all right. K-12, okay, gotcha. Oh, there we go. All right, Daniel, you're actually tying into something really nice. Elizabeth, high school librarian, fantastic. All right, my name's Scott Loomis. I work for Tech for Learning. We're the fine folks that bring you Wixie. If you're an old guy like me, guy or gal, of course, you may remember the days of Pixie, which was the predecessor to Wixie. Pixie was the installed version. Wixie is the web version, hence the W. And also it's, although Pixie and Wixie have similar productivity components, it's the management side of Wixie that's just so superior. And Wixie's been around for a decade now, which is kind of hard to believe. Oh my gosh, Deb's going really old school. If you remember KidPix, if you were a student and used KidPix, I don't want to hear about it. But yeah, if you remember KidPix days with the dynamite and the boo-boos and stuff like that, that's pretty impressive. All right, so over the summer, we had a update. Usually the updates occur in mid-June, kind of an FYI as far as the major changes. We try to do those in advance of the big ISTE conference as kind of a rollout at that time. We make changes. Actually, Wixie is updated most, if not every other Fridays to fix little quirks or errors or whatnot that we discover. And sometimes we actually see different tools and features added at that point as well. They're always usually kind of minor things, not necessarily something that requires a big announcement. So this summer, there's a couple of things that kind of stood out as far as changes in Wixie. And I'm obviously on my homepage. One of the big ones, although just a small shift up top, students used to be here on the left, and there was a new button over here in the middle. One of the small things, but very beneficial, and I think Daniel actually kind of referenced it. We have this new green section along the folder list on the left. Now, the help menu used to be over here under your profile icon, but the help menu has every single kind of step-by-step direction you may need. from switching between themes to putting CR or QR codes, for your projects, or for your logins, for student logins, if you wanted the younger kids to just do a QR code instead. But again, I don't know how that works specifically in Arundel, but you'll see that the different types of directions here. And then if you look at okay, I want to do a collaborative project, and that's where one kid can share a project with someone else in just their section, not another class or school. How can the kids share and then work on the same project from different devices? Under collaboration, you'll see there are, here's 5, 6 different subfolders as far as sub directions, all with screenshots, some with videos. And, it's a great resource if you're looking to how to do something. It's not a bad place to start. It's also something available for your students. So if your students are more capable, they can figure things out on their own. The big section, or the big part of this section I wanted to point out, however, is Wixie 101 and lesson ideas. Now, Wixie 101, which used to be outside of Wixie, but now we brought it into the program itself, so you can find it here, is a lot of kind of direction, step-by-step, fundamentals, teaching with Wixie, getting started. We see different ideas of first project ideas. Here's first project trading card, first project for share events in a lifetime, all about, kind of getting started with the program and producing something. So it is kind of nice that these resources are here and can kind of get you moving if you want to. Also, we have grade level. Oh, I should have just gone back. Course list. We could do grade level folders as well. We see first grade here, for example, and we see activities for first grade using Wixie in first grade, authoring view, creating with little ones. I mean, these are all kind of overviews on how to use the program for specific subject areas, grade levels, or tools or features. The second tab, and this is where, if I'm in a position where I work with, like an e-coach, for instance, and I work with the teachers, or at least try to encourage them to use Wixie regularly, lesson ideas is a pretty solid spot to start. If I was given 10 minutes in a faculty meeting to talk Wixie, I might give teachers 5 minutes as teams to explore this link. Now, what's nice about it is you see, for instance, and I'm sorry, we only go K to 8. So, for those of you working in high school, I think you'll find, connections here and there. But it might not be the samples at that grade level. But if I go into 6th grade, for instance, I will see all of these lesson ideas. All about me, school fundraisers, sky high skyscrapers, take a little time to download. These are actually project-based learning activities in math. I've done a number of these. So if you want to talk about oldness, if you remember MSP AP back in the day, you can definitely get your gray-haired card if you had actually taught that test compared to taking it. But these are dozens and dozens and dozen ideas of lesson ideas for grade 6. And if we go into the tourism trade show, for example, what you'll see is kind of an outline of the lesson, engagement, and sometimes you'll see links to specific templates or different articles. But this is observation quality lesson plan here too. They even have corresponding Common Core, or in this case of the C3 framework for social studies here listed, because it might apply to states or us or whatnot. But it's an easy way to show, kind of come up with different ideas for different grade levels, and it's a very non-threatening way as well. And there's Debbie, always the optimist. She's throwing out some suggestions there, not liking it. So that's the basic layout. I do want to get into what I consider the good stuff when it comes to the newness in Wixie. Now, when I click on a new project, you should know that although it's been around a little while, you can actually start a book layout. And a book layout, you get to choose your background. And, 'tis the season. We're going to go with the fall theme here. Again, for those of you brand new to Wixie, this is the basic productivity page. Storyboard on the left, tools along the top, tools and paint tools, particularly over here on the right-hand side. What's wonderful about the book template, you go ahead and do it. You can add pages, you can duplicate, you can delete, do whatever you want. When you go to show a book template, it actually turns and opens like a book. So we got a handful of media specialists, for instance. I may want to do maybe a second chapter to a tall tale or fairy tale. Maybe it's an alternate ending. You don't like the way that Bridge to Terabithia ended, rewrite the last chapter. And what would be your events piggybacking off of what occurred in the chapter before. We also can, again, because of some options for creativity and adding audio recordings and even videos that you take yourself, when I look at opportunities for those public service announcements for cosmetology or phys ed or whatnot, you could actually do some kind of personal care guide here, and each page isn't listing information. I'm not talking PowerPoint. They're describing processes and details and getting specific. And that's the big thing for me. If you're doing a bulleted list and the kids don't present, in my humble opinion, you're wasting your time. Bull to list are not rigorous. All sorts of research says kids don't retain that knowledge. They just copy and paste it. So unless if they can give a presentation, don't get me wrong, if you can take 5 words and talk about it for 50 seconds, that's brilliant. The kids are super engaged and knowledgeable of the content. But if you're not presenting it, again, very low level, not a lot of rigor. So get them to apply that knowledge through different types of tasks. And I'll talk more on this, especially the recording, in just a moment. The other thing you can also do is go straight to a graphic organizer. So whether you have a graphic organizer in mind, or you want kids to choose between a couple, you can decide. But this can be we're opening Wixie and we're opening up, new, and I want you to select the 5 W's or whatnot. But even students can go ahead and open these up because they have that option. Obviously, the productivity side for teacher and student is almost identical. So they see a similar screen here. They have not as many choices, kind of reduced options on the left as well. And they can organize it. The younger students, for instance, sometimes get flustered in the view. So just know that you can change from list to more of a box view. There's also this big grid view, which kids don't have, but it would include lesson or template information if it was available here as well. But tell them not to freak out. They just need to re-click the icon for the display in the upper right-hand corner. So now to the good stuff. And no questions, so I assume we're doing good. I am just covering some basics. Although not new, I am still a huge fan of this tool right here. In my opinion, if you're not using this tool, you're really not using Wixie productively or meaningfully. You're probably just doing a lot of playing or drawing or very simple sorting sequences or whatnot. Users can add 1 audio recording per page. This is the microphone tool, and it can last up to 5 minutes in length. Now that's 5 minutes for page 1, that's 5 minutes for page 2, so on and so forth. One of the things you can do with littles, for instance, I mean, you're sitting there with second graders, they're sitting on the floor in media, in the classroom, wherever, and no one's touching each other. It's a beautiful moment. And you get to a spot in the book that you're reading aloud where a character is about to make a major decision. You close the book, you look at the kids quizzically and say, what do you think she's going to do? You have 10 minutes, you tell the kids 10 minutes in Wixie to record your prediction using evidence to support it, and then to draw a picture of that event. Right? And the reason I make them record before they draw, if anyone wants to venture a guess, because I have been in too many lessons where 9 minutes in, the teacher realizes what's happened. The kids have spent the entire time drawing and they yell, there's only 1 minute left. So what do the teachers do, or what do the students do? They throw down slop. And what kind of quality assessment do you have? Really not that good, because the kids were rushed and just kind of did it at the end. I can grade a recording without a picture, but I can't grade a picture without a recording. So I want to get that content knowledge down, in this case, a recording, and then I can have them draw as the kind of engagement or motivation. Now, the microphones are super easy to use. When you click on it the very first time, however, you're going to get a pop-up window that says, are we going to allow the microphone essentially to talk to this web page? This is an allow choice. We train our kids to always say no or dismiss or whatever. If they dismiss this, because this isn't Wixie, this is actually Wixie talking to the web browser. If they dismiss it, I think it's easier to have them get a new device, because it's new on every device you go onto, than it is to have them try to resolve it. In fact, you would need to resolve it often through even admin rights, because kids usually don't have the ability to set preferences or modify preferences within the browser. So if it's your first time, your students as well, the younger kids, maybe do it as a group where you do the recording and press allow. When you're ready, you click record. It gives you a 3-second countdown, and you're off to the races. So you start recording, so on and so forth. Maybe you're retelling the story. Maybe you're making prediction. Maybe you're interviewing someone. I want to interview an author. I want to interview a historical Marylander, someone from social studies, Revolutionary War, president, you name it. You can also pause and resume as often as you want. And this is actually done for ESOL students in mind, because a lot of them, again, because they're recording, it seems to amp up the engagement and rigor of the project. The kids often buy in more. And if they make a mistake, they often feel like, oh, I got to start all over with the recording. So what we were hearing is ESOL kids doing like a 60-second newscast, and they get to a spot and they get tongue-tied to the English word, and they're like, I got to redo it all over again. I don't know if they really use that hand gesture or not, but there it is. So as a result, they can pause it, untie that tongue if they're kind of paying attention, and then continue on without that potential mess up. So you can pause and resume all you want. Oh, Tracy, you're speaking my language. I love it for science, because not only when you go to images, by the way, you can take a picture from a camera. So your kids can take pictures of STEM projects, science projects, of sculptures they built in art, and then add an audio recording explaining what they did in the art, the artist they emulated, the style they emulated, again, their hypothesis on what's about to happen, their explanation of the apparatus they built to conduct their science experiment, of anything they want. So you would take the picture and then you would add an audio recording. Now, the flip side of that, as Tracy talked about too, is you can add videos that last up to 5 minutes in length as well per page. So if they have something in front of them, I think it's even better if you do a video because they can point at things. And if your school does any kind of dress-up day, like characters from novels or whatnot, or pretend to be like famous Marylanders or something, it's an even better opportunity to do an interview with them or have them give a kind of first-person account of who they are and why they're significant. And again, ideally with more than just listing I was born at, this is what I did, but talk about the influence it had or the kind of the reflection on that knowledge. And this is also going to be true for any other thing when it comes to videos and audios, between photos and audio or video, in that taking pictures and adding audio. I think of like, I don't know, is it 3 or 4 steps to doing a layup, opposite hand, opposite knee, 1 step, 2 step, whatever it is. They could do a step-by-step on how to do different things in phys ed as well. And I absolutely love these. So these aren't particularly new, but this is the good stuff of Wixie. So things that are new here. First, I mentioned images. It used to be that, it still is, that you could do a search and you can actually type it out. So if I want to see a bear, I would type in bear. However, what I could also do nowadays, because I'm a first grader and I can't type very well because spelling counts, you can now search by dictation. Bear. Oh yeah, same thing. I should have said something different. We'll do deer. Let's see which deer it does. Deer. That did the other deer. Nope. So we didn't have a deer there. For some reason, these were tagged with deer in our photo library, but I could change it if I wanted to. So searching is easy, or easier, especially for our younger kids, or for middle school kids who are too lazy to type it out. Know that we have a stickers library, a photo library. This is actually a website, PICS for Learning, over 35,000 copyright-free images. You can go to the website and put them into any program, not just Wixie, but the images are also available within Wixie. So when you did deer and bear, it started with the clip art or stickers and then moved down to the photos. You can also get images from your drive if you have green screen photos you want to use of the kids and or pictures from field trips or something else. You can navigate, get those. And My Files is from your computer. So it's kind of nice in how that works. As nice as that is, this is the super new coolness that happened. They're called widgets, right? Under widgets, we have magic stickers, Wixie projects, and web pages, which means we can insert a Wixie project into this template here. So if we wanted to go grab one of our own projects and add it in, like it's going to turn into a multi-page assessment, and I have a couple setup pages before the assessment, or even do a embed a web page where they can navigate or open it here and then take notes on page 2 or page 3 and then toggle back and forth the pages between that web page and whatnot. Right? However, the really coolness are the magic stickers. So there are a couple different types of magic stickers. The spinners and a lot of these other ones, when you click them or bring them in, so we got all these spinners, some with numbers, some without, all the way up to 24. Let's just grab the 10 for fun. When you bring a magic sticker in, it's currently functioning as a regular clip art, regular sticker. No matter how many times I click on it, this is me clicking over and over again, click, 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 nothing's going to happen. Right? However, with like a GIF, which is essentially what it is, when you go to show, the image will move, right? And you can do it as many times as you want. However, that's not going to do me very good if I want to do a tally sheet over here because I don't have my paint tool. So if I was spinning and then making some marks here, it's impossible. So the nice thing about this is you should know that if you want to make a magic sticker work in the edit mode, what you need to do is select it. And I think lock will be here. Nope. Yes, it is. Under the, I heard someone call it a P-pod. I always thought it's just the ellipsis dots, but I guess it's the little P's inside of it. P-pod. I want to use that. I'm a former middle school teacher. I want to use that with my middle school kids. But if you lock it down, and then I'm going to click away from it, and now I can click on it and it'll function. So that's a 9. So I grab my paint tool, I check 9, go back to the arrow, run it again. Oh, tie. Yeah, I get to do it again. Another tie. but you get the point. Triple tie. I'm lucky here all of a sudden. So I'd be able to do some type of randomizing thing within the magic stickers spinners. Now this could also work for clicks for countdown. This is random numbers. You got your 8-ball, you got a color flip between a red and like a beige. This is going to be, 2 dice rolling, 6 and 1, 3 and 4, you get it. This would be 1 dice, and this is a random number. So again, a random number between 1 and 10. So if you want to do a math problem, for instance, you can put one of these, and I'm going to go ahead and I can actually duplicate it with the P-pod, one of these, whether I use it or go get a type or whatever, but, I say add it. And again, I'm going to lock this one, lock it. And once you lock it, you can't move it, which is why I duplicate it first. So the kids come in and go boom, boom. And there's my math problem. Right? This piggyback, and the other ones I should point out that we can do under page, I'm going to come back here to page 1, under widgets would also include like timers. So you got all these different timers or a digital watch to do whatever you want. So you can set these on the screen if you're using it as a management one and just have it count down as kids are working on something. We see music ones as well. What's nice about these are just an element that when you click on different components of it, it'll play notes and music and whatnot. So instead of saying a word, it plays a pitch. So worth exploring. Timers, I'm going to get to talking in a second. The next one, and it's why I opened up page 2, are the math stickers. Now, the math magic stickers, I think, are pretty sweet, especially as a former math teacher. I could have done the dice or the counter from 1 to 10, but you notice how the kids had to click on it to get a problem? I like these instead, and here's the reason why. If I brought in 1, I don't have to lock it or anything else. I'm going to duplicate it and bring in another one, and I'm going to set up that math problem. Again, a little plus sign or whatever. What's nice about math magic stickers is that when the kid opens the template, it randomizes them, and then they lock. So what you can do is I could do like 5 pages just like this. 2 10s plus 2 10s plus 2 10s, 2 plans, or if I want to go to 3 at the end because we're skip counting by 10s. What's great is that every kid, when they open up problem 1, it's different throughout the classroom because each kid is differently randomized, but it's still going to be 2 10s. And then again, randomized. So we all know in math, there's way to get the answers that aren't always legitimate, nor accurately demonstrates what they know. So I like the randomized ones because, again, the problems are different for each kid. They actually need to attempt to solve it themselves instead of leaning over and looking at their friend. So I am a big fan of those. And again, it randomized when I placed it down. And for me too, if I go and come back, I think it's going to randomize it again. Yep, see, randomized again. But for a student, again, when it opens, it locks it so that it doesn't change the problem if they go back to it. So it'll always be the same. All right. Now, the big addition are Talkies. Now, Talkies within the magic stickers open up the whole realm of, again, those interviews, those public service announcements, those point of views. And I'm a big fan of, if you're going to tell me, if you're going to talk about Andrew Jackson, don't interview Andrew Jackson, interview Andrew Jackson, or pretend to be Andrew Jackson, or pretend to be Andrew Jackson on the face of a $20 bill. I mean, a lot of creativity, very creative ways. And again, if the kids are going to interview, for instance, a planet, how do they know what to ask the planet? Well, those are right out of your indicators. What are you studying? What's your summative assessment? Usually interviews or conversations or whatnot are in the unit. You can give them the questions they need to gather the research information on, and then have them do that, again, through audio or video, or with a talkie. Now, there are many, many cool things about a talkie. For instance, I happen to be, if we're going to stick with a game show theme, a big fan of Mike. Now, these are animated GIFs. And Mike, for the time being, he's going to start winking at me. He's going to, do a little bit of motion here or there. But what's the coolest thing about Mike is, check it out. I can actually type something. Hello, my name is Mike, and I'm here to talk to you about, whatever. If you try it.
Hello, my name is Mike.
The mouse open and close. Better yet, you can change voices. Zira.
Hello, my name is Mike.
You could do like you can with text. And if you don't know, by the way, this is more for intermediate people too, high school, middle school. You can do speech to text, which I think is huge until they get super fluent at typing. And it's not your job to teach the typing, but you go ahead and you start typing, and it's a pre-writing stage, and that they can read what they've typed, but then when they're done, they click away and they have to do that self-editing. So as much as I love that, just know that under the Talkie, there's also the ability to do a speech to text, right? Now, this is cool. You could do this. However, check this out. There's a straight up record button. It's the third option. So I can click record and add up to 5-minute recording on mic. However, if I wanted to get this to be kind of creative, because right now it's one recording per page, remember, one for 5 minutes, you could add multiple talkies and they each get their own 5 minutes on the same page. So I got Mike here working. I'm going to go into magic stickers and talkies. Let's say we're talking to Abraham Lincoln. Tracy, I know you're feeling it. I love it. All right. Oh, people. Yeah, let's get Abe talking here. So there's Abe. Abe is here. Check out. Abe's got another recording. Then I may bring in another Mike and do another recording, and then do another Abe, and now I got a conversation going back and forth. And it's a comic book or graphic novel rules. It goes top to bottom, left to right if there's a tie. So even if it's really close, but he's a little bit under, Wixie will know the difference. But I like that, you can stagger them. So you can do it back and forth. And this is where that team tool with collaboration could be nice, because I'm going to, my buddy and I, we already storyboarded the conversation with Abraham Lincoln. I'm going to be the microphones. He's going to be Abe. And we can work on the different talkies at the same time on the same page, because they're different elements, and my microphone won't be heard by his on his machine type deal. And even if it does a little bit because we're so close to each other in class, it's no big deal. I mean, a little background noise is fine. I'm type A, but I'm going to live with it. But I love the talkies for that capacity. This is a relatively new tool in the Wixie world, and we're continuing to add. We added this whole pumpkin group. Look at that. Wow. Primary pumpkin group here for the holidays of the fall. We recently did all the planets so they could talk. So you could interview a planet in this capacity. And I don't know, what's the animals folder? Oh, caterpillar, a corgi, snake, pigs. And some of them may do more than blink. Some of them may move a little bit. Smiley face. But also the monster. I think that's like talkie monster. Slice of pizza. Maybe you're doing a health one or whatever. Or you said cosmetology. You could easily do an interview with the sun about the impact the sun can have on your skin. I mean, you get really creative in how you're working it. So here is a moment, really quick. I typically do this. It's also Debbie and I's way to see if you're still here, if you walked away, so she can make a little note. Did not respond to question. Between the microphone, the video, or talkie, I hope that something resonated with you as, I like that idea. I could have the kids interview planets. So that was your idea. I just stole it again. And that's all I'm looking for you to type an idea in the chat box. I could see my kids doing a recording, a video, or talkie about this. Let's just get ideas out there, see if you're connecting it to some of the things you are about to do. Well, Katie, I love them too, but there you go. You need to give me a little more like April did. There you go. How characters feel. Oh, social, emotional learning opportunities there. Any kind of feelings. There we go. Book lesson. Sarah, if you do that, I so want a copy.
Okay, so Scott, I wrote the lesson for our curriculum.
Oh, so it's already there.
So yeah, so the new curriculum has the talkie in it, and it was hilarious. I'm a pizza. I'm an orange. It's delightful. I will send it to you.
Yes, please. Just copy the URL and email it. Yeah, Corey. I mean, there could be one page. I mean, what's wonderful is the kids could actually do their own little review of a sound or strategy or pronunciation, I before E for spelling or whatnot, and then do a second page, like a little work page. And they could actually give devices to a friend or somebody in their class, and the kid could do second page based on ideally what they just had reviewed by their friend. Solve classroom problems. I love it. I love it. Ms. Benedict, and I also think you can do any book review with a talkie. You want to read Charlotte's Web. It's a story of an unusual friendship between a pig and a spider that I think you're going to love. And then you can go on from there. Yeah, Miss, it just went away. Question, go ahead, turn your mic on. Oh, no. If you have a question, rather in the text chat box or turn your microphone on. The other thing, and I know some people talked about STEM, and I'm sure a lot of you may teach math. I love taking images of math work. Now, that sounds particularly boring, but there's that dreaded problem in math. Explain your problem-solving strategy. Explain your mathematical thinking, whatever the verbiage is. And the worksheets, they're just brilliant. They give like 2 lines at the bottom. You need to explain your mathematical thinking in like 14 words or less. So I like when kids take a picture of their math work and then explain through an audio recording, just rambling on, no script, how they solve the problem. The same would be true for like retelling stories or predictions or whatnot. A lot of these are right off the top of their head. And then think about the science side. I mean, you draw a picture of the water cycle, don't label and title, although labeling's okay. Don't write out what it is at an audio recording. And the kids right off the top of their head. So if Steve talks for 4 minutes and Samantha talks for 1 minute, that's fine. Steve obviously loves what he's doing, or he just loves to do a recording. But the kids that are passionate can do all that extra. And don't forget, Wixie can be accessed from any device that can connect to the internet. So kids could continue work at home if they wanted to. So yeah, that's there as well. Yeah, Daniel. So instead of an actual one kid at a time presenting to the class, having each kid do a video, and then maybe watching videos as like a class activity or event, that would be kind of cool. Pop some popcorn, the whole 9 yards. All right, let me check my list. And yes, the only other thing I want to point out at this time is when you're in the image library and go to stickers, you can go down to symbols and icons. And what's nice about symbols and icons folder is there is a Wixie folder under symbols and icons. And what's in the Wixie folder? Well, there's all the images of the more popular tools. So I'm thinking more primary kids, because there's also the other theme, the primary theme, which is a simpler layout that doesn't have as many options. You know, you don't need 6 brush strokes in kindergarten, you just need 1. So they don't have 6, there's only 1. But I've seen classes where these are printed out, you know, an 8.5 by 11, or even a half page here in Wixie, or comic books in Wixie where you can print, but the teacher may hold it up and say, we're looking for this tool, it's up there. So, you know, that's the kind of how to run with it there. All right, so a couple other very cool things. And this one's going to resonate, especially for our media specialists, but it should be to everyone, because it's a great opportunity to celebrate what students have done. So there, as a class, you can celebrate as a class project. Sorry, I stumbled over that. Oh, April. There you go. There you go. Jody, that is a great exemplar idea with shy students. I actually had a selective mute when I was teaching 5th grade. She just wouldn't talk, but mom and all of her friends and their parents would say she screams at home. She's loud, but the classroom, but you could get them quiet by a spot, maybe in the hallway, maybe in a corner, wherever, to get them to talk into the microphone just loud enough so you can, you know, then have that knowledge. So these are great. There you go. Okay, these are great ideas. I was looking to see if I missed a question. So I don't think I did. All right. If not, Debbie will point it out. So let's do a class celebration. Now, any of your classic books with repetition, it could easily be like, you know, Hungry Caterpillar. It could easily be Cloudy with a Chance of. But it can also be like Math Curse. If you're a STEM teacher, you teach math, you know, this kid wakes up and he realizes, oh my gosh, life is a story problem. And the book is these series of fantastically illustrated story problems from, of course, what time to wake up because he has to do this, which takes 3 minutes, this, which takes 5 minutes, so on and so forth. It goes all the way up to high school math towards the end. I think it'd be great if kids made their own Math Curse page. Another neat book is called Things That Are Most in the World. And Things That Are Most in the World is the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs lady. And it's superlative. It's the stickiest, the hottest, the biggest. Any book with repetition, kids can add their own page, or any project in which kids are creating individual projects, but all on the same topic, are neat, because if you want to, you could actually make a class project of all of their work. It used to be that you had to go get one kid at a time. It would take you like 30 minutes. You really had to be committed to do it, to get a class project. But now you can do it in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to the Students tab where you can see student work. Of course, when you go to the Student tab, you click on a student's work. And again, these are just kind of samples, so there's not necessarily here. I always recommend that when you grade kids' work, you mark it as complete. This way the kid can't change it anymore. Because the last thing you want to do, especially for like an IEP or in a 504, is say to yourself, I can't wait to show this to mom and dad in a couple weeks. And then you open it up in a couple weeks and the kid messed it up at home. So if you mark it as complete, the project goes static and can't be changed anymore. And you can change your mind if you then want them to work on it more. And the other thing I would do, you can see a lot of people have done this, but I would add a comment. And the comment shows up on the right-hand side where the paint tools are, because they can't paint because you marked it as complete. So the comment shows up there over there. But in this case, I'm going to click back on Nita. I see Things That Are Most in the World. This is one of our projects. I am not at all a fan of kids typing and then reading it with a recording. I understand a little bit of publication, but you've already met the lesson objective through the typing. Why do you need the audio? And I do like it for publishing. I love it for poetry. I love when kids read their own poems. It's fantastic. But in this case, we can see they must have recorded themselves reading. So just like you, when a kid has an audio file on the page, you can just click on it and hear it.
The tastiest thing in the world is every chocolate mixed together to make a 10,000-foot dessert. Yum, yum, yum.
Now, these kids submitted it to the state. It's actually down in Georgia. They submitted this to a state contest, which is why the recordings are pristine. Like I said, I'm a little type A, so you got to let it go because there will be some background noise. Just live with it. It's okay. You'll be fine. So now I'm thinking, okay, I see that each kid, Elsa's got prickliest. Danielle has prettiest. Wouldn't it be great if I could get all of these projects? And the answer is yes. And there's 4 steps to do it. So if you're taking notes because you're digging this idea, you got to write these down. Step 1, obviously you got to find the class that you want. So anybody who teach multiple classes know there's a pull-down menu. This comes from my 3rd grade class. So you open the class, which is kind of step 1, but you just open the class. Step 1 is under show. You don't want to show all projects. You want to show by project name. Show by project name, and then do a search. I happen to know that I can type in most, and I'm fine. I don't have to type in things that are most. That's also why getting titles are so important too with your kids. When I go ahead and type most, I see the most project from each child. Like I said, there was only 1. So now I want to see more than 1. I want to see them all. So step 2 is show projects from the entire class. This little 3-head icon. Click 3-head icon, top center. Boom. There they are. Sound effect optional. So these are blue checked only because they've been marked as complete. So don't think those are anything special. I've just marked them as complete in my demonstrations. However, what I need to do, step 3, is to select all of them. And that's this little checkbox over here. Select all projects. Box with check mark, right side. Boom. They all turn blue. And after I selected them all, that's step 4 is to download into a project. So when I click it, I get choices. Do I want to do a book template? And I kind of like the book template. You give it a name. You choose one of the styles here. Just know that the projects get shrunk to fit the space on the book template. So you can see that this guy gets shrunk within the white box. This one gets shrunk. So I kind of, yes and no, I got to decide if I want that or not. But instead, I'm going to press cancel, download. I'm going to just say give it to me as a Wixie project. Project. Things that are most. I can change the topic, whatever. I select create, and I just hold back. Now, this could have been, it could be like you're doing multiple classes, and then you can combine them through the, remember under the widgets, there was the class, you combine projects. You can actually combine these 20 with these 20 with these 20, excuse me. But I've done it with my class. I return to home, and in my projects, guess what I see? The project. So now I'm opening up the class project. I can leave them as is. I can rearrange them. One kid actually did the saddest thing in the world is the end. It's kind of cute. Let's drag that to the bottom of the list, and maybe I need a cover page. And like with all Wixie projects, when I go to File and Download, I can actually download it as a video file. Or if it's just images and text, no audio, I could do an image or even, well, the ebook would actually, but that's more for Macs, do something else in which I can, PDF, for instance, would give it to me. But what's wonderful is now you have that file. You can actually copy the URL and send it to emails in your monthly newsletter or biweekly or whatever. You could actually put it on social media if you because it's you might need teacher or parent permission, but just know it's easy to share now too. So Celebration, as a class, you see it, and whatnot, it's there. So, that is there, and I love making class projects. All right. Any questions about? Okay, there you go. Oh, April, that's a good question. April, if you would kindly send me an email, because I come up with ideas all the time, and they know it. They say, oh, that's another crazy idea from Scott. When I forward it from a teacher, a user like you. So I would say, boy, you can easily say, Scott, I really wish there was a portrait book option within the class export list. And I bet you that'll come in pretty quick, like in the next week and a half type deal by next Friday. So that's all I got to do. And I bet you the team will get something up there pretty quick. But that's, again, something we just never thought of because that's, again, a tool in its infancy. We're still kind of working out kinks. Right? So next one, let's pretend, and some of you might have to not as pretend as much as others, that your kids decide to open new projects kind of in their own personal time, allow other kids to work on it, and something inappropriate happens, right? It happens. Kids are stupid. Let's be honest. They think they're safe on the computer. It's just crazy. Kids are stupid when they consider what they might write or type or do on a computer. Let's be that clear in that way. They can be. In the past, which you can still do, if it's a pretty serious offense, other than maybe just a bad word, let me know, and we can actually do a lot of details at our end as far as who did what on what day and what time. But the nice news is now that's available for you as well. So a new tool and feature is, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the student's work and I'm going to find that inappropriate project. I really don't have one. I got to clear this, all projects, but I have this one here that shows it was shared with 3 other people. When you click a shared team project, it views just like any other one. You see it, you can move between pages, you can listen to audio recordings. Chris is actually an adult. I think he put some Steeler memorabilia on there because we always have a good ribbing with each other when I see him, being a Ravens fan and him being Pittsburgh. But one of the things I can do, so this is just my example, kind of move past that, is when I click the 3 ellipses, in this case it's not a peapod, it's the 3 dots, I see the option to inspect project. So in short, if you want to know who did what in a team project, you got to open it and inspect it. Now when you inspect it, the project shows up, and this is who did what at what time and what day on this particular page. So Chris did everything on this page. Let me go to page 2. Chris did everything on this page. So we have the ability to see who did what at what time. Add page. Now the shape painting, we don't necessarily know because we just know the painting tool's been used. We don't know if it was used to draw something inappropriately, but at least you know that if it was these are the only 2 shape paintings. Oh, there's 3 here. And there's this one too. So actual free drawing compared to using shapes like squares and rectangles. It's going to be listed as far as who did what at what time. So you can easily see that as well. If it's a little bit more serious than what's here, again, that's something where you can reach out and we can get you pretty specific on what user from what device at what time did it too. So just know that, inspect is another neat opportunity when it comes to a new tool and feature that can help you manage the effective use of Wixie. All right, so the final thing I do want to point out is the expansion of our curriculum and templates library. The templates library has been divided into 2. If it is pretty clear what lesson objective this template is designed to meet, then that's under curriculum. We know this is your science indicator. We know this is something you use for ELA in 3rd grade for reading comprehension or 1st grade for alphabetic principle. If it's not clear, because you can do so many things with it, it's under templates. So like templates, when I go into math, for instance, I remember using this 3D grid template as to have kids make explorer cubes in my days teaching 5th grade so long ago, where the kids designed different elements. And I remember cutting them out, and I remember cutting a bunch of 3x3 pieces of paper and stacking them on my desk so if a kid messed up on a cube, they could glue it on and draw the new one. So anyways, that's how you can kind of tell between the 2 folders. If you go to curriculum, we've continued to expand in great detail the social emotional folder. Oh, I am. Jen asked twice. We aren't seeing my screen changes anymore. Oh, you know what? I moved to the different browser accidentally. How about, so sorry. And you guys are all saying it. I'm just standing here. Can you see my folders now? Please? Yes, thank you, Jen. So under templates, I got thumbs up. I appreciate that. Under math, there's the cube template. When I showed the class project to inspect it, it opened up a 2nd tab, and my sharing preferences were just to the single tab. So under curriculum, you go into social emotional. This library has been, oh, that's a social studies, significantly expanded. All sorts of things. Even our Talkies, we see a lot of Talkie templates as well. Because this way you can just, have the kid open it up and do some type of reflection, emotion, knowledge or whatnot. All sorts of social emotional. Sometimes we see digital citizenship taught here in the fall. Again, a lot of digital citizenship stuff. So you'll be surprised. There's combined well over 3,000 templates. I look into language arts, and these are aligned by Common Core for both language arts and math. So we see reading, and again, alphabetic principle, comprehension, fluency, and literature. You talk about artifacts. You know, if I am an ESOL teacher, for instance, I am creating my own, or I'm using our fluency templates, and I'm capturing the kids reading this passage at different points. Because in many cases, special ed, ESOL, even our youngest kids, their development of their English skills can often be baby steps. So when you compare day in, day out, it doesn't look like they're going far. But if you do a recording in October and then do another one in April, you can have a celebration opportunity in that. Look how far you'd come, you know, Michael or Pedro, or whoever. The same would be true for first grade fluency, counting, even younger, kindergarten. You know, so many times it's anecdotal observation. And I'm not saying that the parents of Anne Arundel County are demanding, but I can envision going into a parent conference where I say that, you know, the kid needs help counting to 20. And the mom or dad or the guardian jumps in and says, what do you mean they can't count to 20? What do you mean needs improvement? They count to 100 at home. And as much as you want to say, well, maybe there's magic water they're drinking at home, what's great is if you had an artifact that actually showed, well, we've actually tried a couple of times to have him record himself counting to 20, and this is one of them. He seems to always get stuck somewhere between 13 and 15 type deal. So I love it for counting. I love it for fluency. In fact, you got parent conferences possibly coming up before Thanksgiving. You have time to now do at least 2. Assign a template, have them read it, date it, and then assign the exact same template again and get a new recording in like 3 or 4 weeks. And then you can show mom and dad or guardian these 2 recordings showing growth. And for ESOL, you just keep doing maybe the same template every month or something like that. So we do see fluency. Got someone who liked that idea. Oh, there are other questions. Okay, good. Reading comprehension. Again, tons of opportunities here for different templates. Here's the cue, but it has a purpose. The 5-finger retell example. When you open up a template, you now have opportunity to try it. If you're just dying to sort it out or do whatever it says to do, you can do it. If you want to assign it, you can assign it exactly as is. What class and when do you want them to open it or get to see it? If today's the first day, no, they'll see it right away. Like they may have to refresh Wixie, but it's not like it takes overnight to process. The end date does not matter because once they open up a copy, they get their own version or own copy of it, and it'll never go away. It even portfolios year after year. The end date would only be if the student never opens a template and it's going to disappear. The other one is to customize, where you get a copy of this file to modify, and then you would assign your version, not ours, right? So those are the kind of different elements in it. You also see a lot of choice boards. We've ramped up this section. Choice boards are fantastic. These are great emergency subplans too, by the way, and that these all hyperlink to a different template that they're of course going to do on book character traits. So I may let them choose any one. I may assign this to the class as is and say, listen, we're not going to do the empathy map. I'm just not too hot in that one right now, or I'm not going to do coats of arms. You can tell kids not to, or you can customize it, actually delete sections, but you can assign as is, which would be easy, and just say we're going to avoid this section. But each box hyperlinks to the template for that particular project. All right, so as always, I talk a lot. I do it at a good clip. I know some might apply to you, some might not. I just want you to at least know some ideas of the potential of Wixie. Maybe you can dive in more if you're curious and can't remember. But here's the deal. I still live in Baltimore County, where I taught for 14 years. I am available for virtual reviews. You know, as long as it's available on my calendar, I'm happy to meet with anybody, one-on-one, groups of teachers, like a grade level or something. It doesn't matter. Now, these can be integration discussions. I'm looking for ideas. Maybe your e-coach. The 4th grade team's been really stubborn. I'm looking for some ideas. Can we talk for 5 or 10 minutes? Sure, we can. I'll throw some ideas, and you can possibly share them and see if they want to nibble on any of those. But if you also want to know how to do teamwork or how to do team projects or how I can do this or that, it's no worries. I'm happy to review it with you. It's sometimes easier than going back and forth with a bunch of emails. Also, if you have a colleague, you know, I can't remember your name. I'm sorry, but there was a phys ed teacher here. If you got another phys ed teacher, you know, in another building saying, dude, you know, you missed out on Wixie. I can see some great, you know, opportunity here. If they want to meet with me, just do basic Wixie review. I'm happy to do that. And most of my Wixie reviews take 15 or 20 minutes, but the other ones are much shorter, and I call them helping. We can talk as often as you want. We'll keep it short and simple and just address a specific need. But here's my contact information. I guess it's X nowadays. I will retweet what other people have been tweeting about or Xing about. I don't know what that is. With the states in my region, which is primarily Maryland and Virginia. So you can hear or see what other Maryland teachers are doing with Wixie. You just got to follow me. You want to find out what I had for lunch or breakfast today. It's all Wixie stuff or Tech for Learning stuff. Yeah, Christian, even just recording their fluency. I mean, the artifact is so powerful, and I can't stress enough. I think you really got to find a moment in the spring to let the kids reflect on where they were, because you see those kids that are almost beat down a little bit every day because things are so hard for them that when they stop and compare, you know, like I said, have a party, get balloons and maybe cupcakes that are allergy free for everybody, and celebrate the growth that has happened. And I think you're going to see there'll be some great loving going on as far as kids just feeling good about themselves, that social emotional component. So with that, I'm kind of wrapping up. If you have a question, you want to type it, turn the microphone on, please do so, because I'm going to stick around. The next session starts at, what time is my next session at let's see. Okay, next session starts at 2:40. So I'm going to be here for at least another 10 minutes. You're welcome, Daniel. Daniel, I appreciate it, phys ed teacher. Or no, you were the I'm just going to give up. Thank you, Christian.
It's all good. I'm STEM.
My brain gets worse and worse. And now I'll have the problems of what did I already tell this group that I haven't told the second group, because there are things that overlap with the middle school presentation coming up.
Thanks, Scott. It was great. Wixie just keeps getting better and better and better.
There you go. Thank you.
Just amazing. Thank you. Don't forget the attendance and the evaluation. The link is in the chat.
And again, thank you all. Appreciate the kind words.
Thank you, Scott.
Always. Yep. You're welcome, Jen. No questions or anything. So far, so good. How you doing, Deb?
Great. Great.
Good.
It's always nice to be back on eCoach Day.
Yeah, these are fun. I always enjoy. Oh, so wait, all of these people are e-coaches?
They could be champions or central office folks.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, David Wagner sometimes hints a little bit on stuff we're cooking. And I'm even, a lot of times I say, don't even think about it. Just wait till it shows up, because, for me, it was always, I got a couple questions and it's like, no, just let it go. Wait till the time. Because when we were out updating, frames, we get a new version every year. Pixie, we get a new version every year. One of them, there was, after first year, there was a new rule that Scott couldn't ask any questions for at least 10 minutes. We're going to start to show you this, but Scott needs to shut up so we can keep sharing. And then you can ask your integration questions, because we'd show a tool. I'd be like, wait, can it do this, this, and this?
They had to put you in the park.
This, can't do that. Samantha, what's going on?
So I honestly haven't used Wixie in my current position as a media specialist, because I'm at a special education center. So the needs are very high and it's hard for students to do things independently. However, I was thinking maybe we could do like kind of introducing using the Wixie tools on the smartboard and have students like come up one at a time.
Okay.
And kind of like build a page and make a class book that way.
Yep.
So in that case, I would just use like my account and make like a template, and each kid could like write their name on a page, essentially, right?
That's how I would do it. Yep. That's
okay.
how. Yeah. Because and again, it's almost center-ish in that they just would come rotate, to whatever around the class, and the interactive board is just one of those.
Right.
Thanks, Sarah.
I had another question about that, but it slipped my mind that fast.
What's nice too, don't forget, is that, I'm sorry, Samantha, is that if necessary, you could copy a page into a separate project. So if you went to show something at like an IEP meeting, you wouldn't have to show the whole class project. You could just pull up Jim's page.
Right.
And, or you could show the project and here's Jim's contribution to it. But I think now when I think of special ed, I think of the spectrum. I also think of,
most of our kids are nonverbal, so they wouldn't even be able to like record. I mean, a lot of our kids too have very limited mobility, so it'll kind of be like a field choice of two. Like, for example, I was going to do a writing project, like where would you want to go? Because we just finished reading A Wrinkle in Time, and they travel to different planets. Like, well, if you could tesser somewhere and jump somewhere in the world, where would you want to go? So it would kind of be like a choice of two. And I guess I could just kind of like go through the pictures and like, do you like this picture? Yes, no. And they could like select things that way.
Guided use.
Help them build a page. So I don't know. I've just kind of racking my brain trying to figure out the most efficient way to do this?
I think teacher assisted will probably be biggest for you. We see the video used more often with these kids. Typically they're holding a prop or something and then doing some type of motion or action or trying to speak. You talked about where would you jump in the world. Maybe there's a pair of just, Ronald McDonald shoes or something that you got from Goodwill for $2 and they're just colorful or crazy or whatever. And the kids hold the shoes and maybe they do some type of gestures or whatnot to talk about where they would jump or wear a hat or something else. You're really going to have to structure and then, set things up, their assistants and aides or whatnot, as far as, being part of that project creation.
Okay.
And do you guys still, boy, I'm dating myself again, but do you use storyboard?
I feel like, yes, that used to be a thing.
Very limited motions and needs with just images. So they have something to show just images associated to an action. Sometimes kids would have a storyboard and they could say, I want to, they touch things to say that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
Where Wixie is going to be more of that opportunity to try to capture something. I mean, my youngest daughter is a teacher of an autistic class up in PA, and she's basically with her cell phone all day long, which is, I know, unusual, but she's always taking videos of the kids doing stuff. So she with mom and dad and whatnot. This might just be another option to do a video with maybe a little bit more, again, like you said, a teacher comment or typed on the page. Just know that when you're working with any page too, that let me just open up a new project. This one's been modified. You can obviously have anything on this page, but there's this clipboard over here. It's called instructions, where you can actually put like hyperlinks and do a teacher recording. That's what you're able to do, is you could actually, the student could do something and then you could add a comment on it. So it's part of that artifact or record, or you can type some stuff out. So this way, when this project's viewed, you would have a potential video which you could play, and then a teacher recording reflection on, the played, or you're using this as a teacher just for another student recording. You get the student one, you get the teacher one.
Right. I mean, honestly, I don't think the students really have the capability to like log into a Chromebook. So it kind of takes out like the student, you know what I mean? It would just kind of be like a shared work. Like they're not going to be able to complete it on their own account. So
Gotcha.
I think creating directions and recording my voice is kind of redundant because I'm just going to be doing it verbally with them.
I pictured you almost reflecting about what the video was and what you were hoping to see. And how they kind of a pre and post before the camera was turned on and when it was, after it's turned off.
Right.
Another thing for any value, because the nice thing about a student account is parents could see it at home. When you go to your students tab in the top center and you open up the specific class, there is a way to export QR code logins. And this is the QR code for the entire class. All they'd have to do is show it to the camera and it would log them into their Wixie account.
Without like going and logging into like their own Chromebook?
Correct. Oh, wait. It's stuff to be logged on so they could use the camera.
Right. But I could use one Chromebook and then just like scan onto the next page, Onto the next kid, yeah.
So again, and let's say they have a little bit more functionality. If you want to do something simple as what I'm thankful for, for Thanksgiving. And there's actually a template for that under month by month with a big cornucopia. The kids, any kind of verbal, any kind of actions, maybe they're, getting a video or whatnot, that you could do something like that. And that might be something you want mom and dad to have access to. So this way they could share it with family or whatnot. So that's why you may want to access the actual kid's account. And again, a lot of it's going to be circumstantial for you.
And K through 12, like my seniors would be enrolled in a Wixie class too, right?
Actually, Anne Arundel has accounts for Wixie for everybody.
Okay, super.
Pre-K to 12. So yes.
Awesome.
And just know that, like, for instance, when a second grader, like a third grader in Anne Arundel right now has a grade 2, a grade 1, and a kindergarten folder in their My Projects, because things portfolio from year after year. And those projects can't be modified. If you open an old project, it just gives you a new copy this year. So if you are looking for some artifacts over time, you can go back, 10 years type deal, by the time kids are older.
Great. Yeah, that QR code might be a really great way to kind of do that instead of what I was planning to do is just everything on my account.
So Samantha, I got to go to my next session.
No problem. We're good.
You got
Thank
my
you so
email? If you have any questions, don't hesitate, okay? Maybe I can even try to get you in touch with a district or someone else that does it in another district and how they do it. Because we got some great users out there. I'm sure there's someone that works with the special needs.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.